the Federal Court of Appeals in the Sixth Circuit, that includes Ohio, and you can see on the map, has said that we're going to not have same-sex marriage for a while until we'll see what happens. Then the Supreme Court is reacting to one in the Second Circuit that it acted in an opposite way. And so this is going to help that case get to the Supreme Court in a hurry, because if two state Supreme Courts disagree or two federal appeals courts disagree, they take those cases fairly readily. So I think that you could probably look for a resolution, a national resolution on the gay, or not gay, same-sex marriage. I can see that some people could want to have marital rights, such as visiting one another in the hospital and all that, and not be gay for that matter. They just want to be married for inheritance purposes and visitation purposes and so on. So that's the hot burner issue these days, and and you can see that these courts of appeals are important, and they can disagree, and that's how you get to the Supreme Court in a hurry. Now, when you look at this map of the federal districts, you think some crazy person probably drew it up because quite small places, such as the first appeals court district and the second, are really they're highly populated. They're high populated states, but they're small areas. So then as you get to the third and the fourth, and then the sixth one is so crazy that when you get out west, it's really beyond belief, because it really should be two districts, and there's been some thought given to that, but I haven't heard anything about it in the last couple of years, because it not only, of course, takes in Alaska and Hawaii, but it also takes in all that district. And so, for instance, if you're called for grand jury duty for the Supreme Court in the Ninth Circuit, you have to take a big vacation and go, because it's the Court of Appeals is in San Francisco, and it's a pretty long distance for just about anybody. And many, many people live in that district too, so they may look to dividing it sometime. And but the major cases seem to come either from the Second Circuit, which includes New York, or the Ninth Circuit, which includes all the wild people. So let me see. I've got to get my technology in order here. Now, this is the Supreme Court building. It's across from where on First Avenue in Washington, and across the street from it is the Congress. And so sometimes the people are not allowed to gather at the building, on those steps or on that property. And it is kind of entertaining when they're making judgments about the right to demonstrate, the right to the First Amendment right to free speech and so on, and they won't allow people to do it at their own building. That gives everybody a chuckle, but they're pretty strict about that. So there is some empty space before you get to the Congress building, and what the demonstrating groups seem to gather over there. And if you want to really get something important and attend and be there early enough to get in the door and so on, you really have to camp out overnight, and it's a kind of an unhandy thing to do in the winter. The last term I was there, the issue about assisted suicide for people who want to end their lives came up. And one other very fast track to the Supreme Court is, well, I think I mentioned already, it's when state Supreme Courts disagree. So Oregon had a right to die legislation, and it was passed, and they were living with it and using it. And then New York decided, no, you can't do that because it's too unsafe. People could talk you into it when you were not having all your faculties and many other reasons. So that got to the Supreme Court, and of course the two arguing attorneys were chosen from Oregon and from New York. And the court took the New York side and decided that no, we shouldn't get into assisted suicide at this time. And many people came in wheelchairs, and they had the sign on them, "Not dead yet." So, and there was some rumor or gossip about the Netherlands had such a law, and some people were ushered out for financial reasons, or maybe they just didn't like this grandpa anymore, or his parent, or whoever it might be, and and people were against this. Well, this could be created quite a problem at lunchtime, because there are 2 arguments in the morning and 2 arguments in the afternoon every Wednesday and Thursday during the term, which lasts from October, the first Monday of October, through the month of June. So they can go into the Supreme Court dining room to have lunch in between the 2 sets of arguments, and what to do with all the chairs when almost everybody had his own chair, created quite a problem that day. But anyway, now this is coming up again because Oregon redid its law so that it did become acceptable. At least it hasn't gone back to the Supreme Court yet, and people seem to be living with it. In fact, our very own Pat Tillis had attended to her brother when he wanted to do that. He already had Parkinson's disease, and he felt dementia coming on pretty strongly. And of course, after you are into dementia, you can't make this decision any longer. You have to do it when others can see that you are in control of everything. So they took advantage of it, and Pat has told us that experience. It's very interesting. And and so they haven't come out against Oregon or anything like that, or said they're against the law. So I imagine other states will take it up because our population is getting much older and not so many children being born, and we're going to have a real problem here. And besides that, some people just want to depart, and their wishes should be important also. Well, let me see. What did I do here? Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry. I'm not used to this. Okay. Well, these are just the front doors of the Supreme Court. They're very interesting. They're gold, and you enter there, and you should have an opportunity to stay. If you arrange ahead of time, you can stay for full arguments. Otherwise, you're in a group that has to move along every 10 minutes. So if you get a chance to go, and please do if you possibly can, it's a wonderful experience, but arrange it so that you can stay longer. These are this is the, what did I do? Oh, it's a little sign here. These are the 9 justices' chairs. They get to choose their own, and some people like quite a different chair from others. And they come through those curtains just all at once. They gather behind the curtain and greet each other for the day, no matter how mad they may be somebody else. And then they gather, and the court starts. It's a very impressive scene. Well, here are the justices, and of course there are always 9, and the chief is one of the youngest people because he replaced Rehnquist, and who had gotten really old and really sick and should probably have retired 4 or 5 years before he did. But he just loved the court so much, and he wanted to run it and so on. And there's no end to the Supreme Court justices' term. Once you're appointed, you're appointed for life. And Roberts is just, I think, 56 now. And oh no, he's 59. He was chosen 9 years ago for this, so he was very young for Chief Justice, and of course Scalia thought he would be the next Chief Justice, so his nose was entirely out of joint. But they didn't want to have one that old, because then he would be retiring in a few years and so on. So they wanted Roberts. He had a very good record and he had a lot of experience, so he's there for years, but he's so much more conservative than anybody thought he would be. And he's a leader of that very conservative group that's 6 Catholics and 6 very conservative people. So it's made a problem for the recent decisions. They seem to almost be on these people's backgrounds instead of how the law reads. So he's just been there 9 years, and it's the last appointment for George H.W. Bush. I mean, this should say George H.W. I thought I corrected that, but anyway, put an H in there. That's the father. Then Scalia has been there the longest of, the rest of these are in order, and that's what makes Scalia the senior associate justice, because that person presides if the Chief Justice cannot be there. And he was appointed by Reagan. He's very, very, very conservative. And he and Thomas have about a 99% agreement rate, so it really gives Scalia 2 votes. Because most people don't think that Thomas studies the cases very thoroughly. He brings nothing in court with him, whereas Ginsburg brings this huge stack of documents, and he appears to be asleep a whole lot of the time, frankly. And he never, it's history when he asks the questions. Justices start, Ginsburg will be right in there, and some of the others, and Thomas never says a word. I think he did speak once last year. The 2 years before, not at all, and 1 year when I was there, he actually did speak, but it wasn't on the subject of what they were talking about at all. And the poor attorney, who has just a half hour to present his or her case, just about went nuts, but because of his taking time for that. So he isn't very highly respected. Thomas is rarely, if ever, is his opinion taken as a major opinion signed by others. He did write one once, and Breyer's concurring opinion was so much better that the court published it instead. So Thomas just does the easy ones, inconsequential more or less. Anthony Kennedy is been on the court for years and will be on for years or more, and he's turning more conservative. In fact, they used to say that this would be the Kennedy court, because however he voted, then others would follow him, but it hasn't worked out quite that well. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as you can see, she's already 81, and she's has had cancer and some other problems, and one night she went out to the Kennedy Center for some show and was mugged. But it wasn't life-endangering or anything, but it did happen to her. And she's very, very little, very frail. So, but the question is, should she retire so that Obama could appoint another liberal justice before he goes out? But with the way this election turned out, will Obama's nominees be able to be confirmed anyway? So this is a very big consideration. And Ginsburg is, she's in pretty good health right now, and she wants to stay unless she really thinks a liberal person could be appointed. Stephen Breyer, he's, some of the publicity you'll see say 6 Catholics and 3 Jews. He does not have any religion, but he was born Jewish. And Alito and the other two new ones, you know, not much can be said about their record so far. If you haven't seen or read Sotomayor's book, you would enjoy it very much. The one problem with the court is, as you can see, it's all Yale and Harvard, and we have wandered into Stanford. Rehnquist was a Stanford, and so was Sandra Day O'Connor, John Paul Stevens, who was a great associate justice, was University of Chicago. But other than that, it's the Ivy League Eastern thing, and that's one thing that would do if they could get away with that. And so Sotomayor, even though she did get into Princeton and she got into Yale for law school, it was on scholarships for equal opportunity, and she admits it and praises that, because they were looking for more women, they were looking for more Latinos and so on. She's from Puerto Rico, and of course has American citizenship. And but she was very, very, very poor as a kid, and her book's very interesting about this. And now Clarence Thomas, who came from some pipsqueak little town in Georgia, says that his getting into Yale had nothing to do with equal opportunity. He did it on his own, and so on. He owes nobody anything. So I don't agree with that. Well, let's look at our other sheet. I thought you would be interested in what kinds of cases involved with religion have been handled by the Supreme Court, and we don't have time to go through all these, but if you see anything in here, any subject that you like, I have the names of the cases, or not the names of the cases, but I have the exact information here that you can find it on the Supreme Court web. It's very easy to use. So if you're interested in any of those subjects, and as you can see from the word go, there have been quite a few cases on many cases on the Supreme Court. Well, now,
Drew,
yeah.
would you identify all of the names? I know also.
Okay, well, the back row is Kagan. Let me see, that's, oh, pardon? Oh, Kagan, Breyer, let me see, well, this is Sotomayor over here. And at the bottom, of course, is Thomas, then Scalia, Roberts is in the center, Breyer, and Ginsburg. So this is Alito, I think, and Kennedy. So those are the people. And it's Clarence Thomas got on the court because we needed somebody to take. Let's talk about the Wheaton College case down here, about 4 or 5 down. And this is brief. And this happened last year. Amazingly, the court had already closed. I never knew of this before. This is an unsigned opinion, and it said that Wheaton College, it's a very fundamental college in Illinois, at least temporarily does not have to comply even with compromise provisions in the law that says that the college still says that it violates, anything they think violates their religious beliefs, such as equal opportunity, anything about people's freedom to choose for abortion or any other personal matter, and so on. So this followed the Hobby Lobby decision, which was the biggest one last year. And the people that well, the basis of the Hobby Lobby these things, because the owners are very, very, very conservative Christians, and they did not want to pay public medical expenses through the Obama health care law. If it was for birth control pills or abortion or any other things like that, because they did not believe in it. And so this strange decision came out by the court that if a person was closely held beliefs, that you could not go across against their closely held beliefs, and so it's kind of a strange definition. But this is still stewing, because nobody thinks that Hobby Lobby had the right to tell women how to live their lives, and their employees. So that's what this is about. And it's blamed on having this Catholic majority. Now, when the more and more Catholics started being appointed to the court, people used to ask me about this, and I said, don't worry about it. You know, those people are well-trained attorneys. They do not, and former judges and so on, they don't think of their own religion. They study the law and so on and so forth. But I'm about to change my mind. Well, then let me zing through some of the rest of these. Here's some Hobby Lobby cartoons and so on, if you want to pass that around. Just pass it. I'm sorry, I got a little over here. Then the let me see. Oh, about all these attempts by states coming up to revise Obamacare because of the way the election turned out this November. You can't understand how the Republicans did so well, and I'm not speaking against Republicans or Democrats because I'm taught the political communication seminar for years, and I never let my beliefs be known. But when they have so many decisions against women, who are the major voters, and against young people and so on, it's just amazing. You wonder if somebody's counting right, because this is there are all sorts of attempts to put Obamacare. Well, of course, many of the most conservative would like to get rid of it entirely, but chipping away at little things such as, well, it can't be used for pills or can't be used for this or that. That's what they're going to do, most likely, because I don't think they can defeat it entirely. Now, the case that's going forward now, in a 900-page document, it is going after 4 words about the states establishing their own health care rules. And they were welcome to do that, as you remember, but the states that did not do it, of which Ohio was one, then would go by the federal plan. And this is what the Hobby Lobby people hope to defeat. Well, creationism versus evolution beliefs are coming up again. And this last time this was tried, it was a New York case, and the Supreme Court simply would not take it. But Texas thinks they have some pretty good material that, well, it encourages the court to take it again. But in the meantime, this local school boards are doing what they want. There's a school board in Texas that is actually taking all the science books in the whole school and cutting out the pages about evolution and promoting the pages about creationism. But and then our own little case here about Coleman attacking the church directory and our courthouse. The county's defense on that is that it has no money involved with it. Even building the directory was outside sources that wanted to put the directory there, and so, but they paid for it and they attend to it. A couple women take care of that all the time. So there's no county output or governmental thing in it at all. That's why they wanted to remain, so that people can see what churches are represented. And they do have more than Christian churches. They have the Hillel Foundation, and they also have the Islamic chapter that exists on the university. So you can't have other churches that aren't in Athens, you know. So, and then this Greece in New York, that's the city, the name of the city in New York. This is an old saw about a prayer in public places, and this little community actually passed a statute that you could to open the city council meetings with a Christian prayer, and that's been defeated so many times, but the Supreme Court approved it this time. It's just amazing, and it was 7-2 as a matter of fact. And everybody thought we were rid of that years ago, and here it is back. So that's the important of that. It's just a little community now. So I think that's the all the ones that I wanted to go over today, and we are running a little short. But I mean, I have other things up here at which you could look or ask questions, because I'll let Roberta adjourn us. And this is a marvelous thing that the New York Times put out just earlier this fall about some of the major decisions this year and how the justices lined up on them. So you might, I'll put it here on this little table, and you might want to look at that on your way out. And but it's the, you know, the poor liberals are few, only about 3 that you can really count on. If they can get Kennedy to come along with them, or maybe Breyer, then it'll be a good thing. But otherwise, it's most of the cases this year were either 5-4 or 6-3, and it always swung in the conservative way. And of course, everybody knew Scalia was totally conservative, but they didn't know that Roberts would be so conservative. And I really think a lot of this problem is people growing up in such wealth, they don't know other people have problems and so on, and they're just unexposed to the real world. Because they're still, even as justices, they just go back and forth with a chauffeur-driven car and right into the garage, and they don't see the common, ordinary people very much. So, thank you. Thank you.
For me. Sad. Would you rather sit over here so you can sit at the table and sit here?
Thank you for offering. I'm good over here, if you don't mind.
Don. We want Don. We want Don.
We want Don. We want Don. We want.
You got that? This is a song about a finish. Footsie. Someone actually thought that was fun. Retarded. No, we don't say that anymore.
Oh, here we go. All right, organize this out. Let me tell you that when I was in high school, a very successful movie came out called The Life of Jolson. And it based somewhat on, loosely I'm sure, on the life of Al Jolson. And for some reason I got kind of hooked on it. And in fact, the yearbook says that I was prone to sort of break into a Jolson tune at the drop of a hat. Oh! Well, there's a tune. Who had that? There's a song cue if I ever heard one. But so I asked to do these two songs, Jolson songs, that actually came out in 1921. And the first one is, I think, appropriate. It's called Tootsie Goodbye. And it talks about a fellow that's leaving his girl on the train platform. And then the second tune we're going to segue into it is, it tells you where he's going. So, did you find the sheets and stuff? Okay.
You were in high school in 1921?
Thank you, Ken, for pointing that out. Most people would have overlooked it.
Victoria, not me. No, sir.
That Molly will think that's funny. Okay. Anytime you're ready.
2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Say goodbye. Say
don't cry. The choo-choo train that takes me, she knows it away from you. No one can tell how it makes me. Oh, kiss me, tootsie, and then they do it over again. Watch for the whale, I'll never fail. If you don't get a letter, then you know I'm in jail. Tootsie, don't cry. Say goodbye. Train that takes me away from you, no one can tell how kiss me tootsie and do it over again. Now watch for the mail, I'll never fail. If you don't get a letter, then you know I'm in jail. Oh, good, tootsie, don't cry. Good, say goodbye. By Bing Crosby, and boy was he glad to get rid of it. California, now Jolson is turning over in his grave this very moment.
see that now, well, it's a pity. There's nothing like New Orleans. It will remind you of old-fashioned days. A glass of wine will reach your smiling face. And if you've ever seen a brown-eyed gal like mine, you're right in New Orleans. Yeah, somebody?
Old Joe's barroom on the corner by the square. Drinks they were served as usual, and the usual crowd
Like another key?
was the yellow.
D minor, D minor, D minor.
Okay. To the St. James Infirmary, I saw my baby there. She was laid out on the long white table, so round, so cold, so fair. And I said, let her go, God bless her. Wherever she may be, you may search this wide world over, never find a guy as sweet as me. When I die, please bury me letters for ball bearers. Chorus gonna sing a song. Put a jazz band on my playing to ways that as we went along. Now that you've heard my story, I'll take another shot of the blues. Anybody happen to ask you? I got them St. Infirmary blues. Let her go, God bless her. Wherever she may be, you may search this wide world over. Slow down, Pat. Never find a guy as sweet as me.
everybody can sing this.
Yeah. I'll back you up.
Yeah.
I got your back, Bruce.
Thank you.
We'll give you 8 bars up front, okay?
Okay.
2, F.
What a wonderful world.
Yeah. 2.
I see trees of green, red roses too. They bloom for me and they bloom for me. And I think to myself,
What do you think, buddy?
what a wonderful world. To myself, what a wonderful world. Are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends on the street saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I've watched them grow. They'll learn more. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh yeah. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Is that your last two? Or not quite?
Quite.
Quite?
I thought we were only played till 5:45 and they were overtime, no?
Well, if they don't throw us out, we're going to keep on playing.
I got some wine left.
I was going to tell you,
Yeah, wine
anybody who wanted, we got wine?
left.
Left. I only drink right wine.
Someone,
Anybody who would like a sort of souvenir thing, we have a few sheets left over there. And I just want to say, because we're getting toward the end, that good Dixieland jazz never dies. It just it involves, it has a revival about every 50 years. So we expect to see you all back here 2064.
Yeah, follow me. Okay?
Marching in, when the saints go marching, in that number, when the saints go marching in, when the sun begins to shine, when the sun when the saints go marching, when the saints go marching, when the sun begins to shine, when the saints go marching.
Thanks, Bruce.
Just the Wild West. Red. Ed, would you rather sit over here so you can sit?